Reed Sheppard shut up a lot of skeptics with his summer league performance. Sheppard was one of the biggest surprises throughout the entire 2024 NBA draft cycle, purely because he basically couldn't miss from outside. His shooting consistency, efficiency, range, difficulty level, it was absurd from start to finish, and it immediately popped again in Summer League. Shocker. Who would have thought? Yeah, turns out Reed Sheppard is an incredible shooter, and he proved that right away. What he also proved in Summer League is that he's so much more than just a shooter. Sheppard was put in the position to kind of create more for himself, create more for others, be more of a point guard, be more of a scorer. And he popped from start to finish throughout Summer League. He was absolutely fantastic and really showed why he was one of the top prospects in this last draft class. Some of the issues with Sheppard also showed up too, where he struggled on defense. His hands and his instincts were phenomenal, but the physicality, the point of attack pressure and disruption simply wasn't there. So, we're going to dive into the film. We're not going to really look at the shooting too much because he's an awesome shooter. Kind of plain and simple. There's a ton of tape on that. What we are going to look at is some of the on ball scoring, the playmaking, and both the good and the bad on the defensive end. I'm Tyler Metcalf. Welcome to Film School. Let's dive in. What popped the most with Sheppard's playmaking was first the consistency of it, but also the immediacy of it, where if the defense made a slight mistake, he immediately capitalized on it. And when we think about that translating to the main team and how he can really find minutes in that rotation right away, it's with stuff like this, because the Rockets are flush with really good cutters, really athletic off-ball play finishers. And Sheppard showed, especially with Cam Whitmore, that he can set those guys up in really, really fantastic positions, basically on every possession. So here, nothing overly complicated, little side pick and roll that Sheppard's going to come off of. Moses Brown is in a really deep drop coverage, and Maxwell Lewis here is just giving his man the entire baseline while ball watching. Not exactly great defense. Sheppard immediately, as he kind of comes downhill here, just immediately sees that his man is, or his teammate is cutting baseline to all of the space, delivers a pocket pass. Lewis still has no clue what is happening. Sheppard leads his teammate perfectly to the rim. Can't get the dunk, but everything Sheppard does here from a processing standpoint and just kind of keeping the attention of the defense is absolutely perfect. This time, Sheppard shows us in the early offense that he's yet again just willing to take whatever the defense gives him. So as he pushes here early, he's just going to eat up all this space because no one on the defense stops him. No one stops the ball, but Sheppard always has his eyes up. He's always incredibly aware of where everyone is on the floor, and that really pays dividends, especially when you're playing with athletic cutters and off-ball play finishers like a Cam Whitmore. So as Sheppard attacks downhill, he's going to kind of get to the free throw line, but he's seen that Cam Whitmore is cutting from the baseline. He knows that he's attracted the attention and basically gotten Sarr to commit to him, but he also sees that George is ball watching and completely unaware that Whitmore is crashing from the opposite corner. So instead of forcing a bad shot here or driving into space against a much bigger and more athletic defender, Sheppard just delivers a really good anticipatory pass here to Whitmore, who is able to catch it on the opposite side of the rim. Sheppard does a really good job of delivering that pass in a spot where if he delivered it too early or further out in front, if he delivers it to Whitmore on the right side of the rim, maybe George is able to get there and contest it. Instead, he leads Whitmore to the left side of the rim where he's able to use his athleticism to immediately spring off the floor and dunk it home. So just one more time, just really good anticipation here and passing accuracy by Sheppard. While Sheppard showed that he's more than capable of playing point guard and being that kind of primary facilitator, he also showed that he's super malleable with his shooting gravity, that he can kind of parlay that shooting gravity into creation opportunities for everyone else. So here, early offense, he's easily within range, which draws the aggressive closeout by Bronny there. And Sheppard is just calm. He's always under control. He's rarely rushed, and he just attacks the closeout, attacks the space, which gets the help defender to kind of commit, but now he's caught in no man's land. And since Cam Whitmore is such a fantastic cutter, he's immediately going to bolt baseline here, especially since Castleton is up near the elbow. Sheppard doesn't really want to take this shot. He's looking for something easier. It's early in the shot clock. He knows this. He's looking for a better shot than a mid-range pull-up early in the shot clock. So instead, he's going to kind of stare down the corner since he has the attention of the help defender over here and just wait for Whitmore to cut baseline. Delivers a perfect pocket pass, leads Whitmore to the rim. Whitmore does a really good job here of adjusting, obviously, and finishing on the other side. But this is just simple and composed manipulation and passing by Sheppard, and it all stems from that shooting gravity. Sheppard also showed that his athleticism is more than good enough to be on an NBA court, especially with that first step, and then how he can use that to create for others. So again, nothing crazy here, but as Sheppard crosses half court, he catches Bronny peeking over his shoulder, a little square in his stance. Sheppard veers slightly to the middle of the floor before hitting a lightning quick crossover to his right, and then just attacks all the space downhill. Since he gets into the paint so easily, the strong side corner defender helps off. Don't do that, especially at the NBA level, and Sheppard makes him pay. So Lewis collapses to the paint, even though Castleton is there. Sheppard recognizes the defensive mistake. Real common theme with all these clips. The defense takes one step out of position. Sheppard's countering, doing the right thing, taking what they give him. Kicks out a pass. Knocks down the three. This isn't rocket science, but it's perfect execution, really quick processing speed, and maximizing all of his skills to create the best look possible. Sheppard's playmaking also really pops in transition, which he's consistently in because of his defensive rebounding and defensive playmaking. So from the start here, ball comes off the rim and he's eager to get that outlet pass, and his eyes are already up. He's seen that his teammate, who will come into view in a second here, is sprinting to the corner and dragging his defender with him, and the only other defender that's back is the guy who's going to pick him up. So as he attacks, as he pushes in transition, he's looking to the middle of the floor and sees that Dante is beating everyone down the floor while this opposing big has his head turned towards Sheppard and is getting outrun by Dante. Without hesitation, Sheppard delivers an absolute gorgeous bounce pass through traffic here that leads the 7-footer in stride to the rim for the big dunk. To hit that type of pass with everyone moving at the speeds they are and not disrupt anyone's momentum is really, really impressive and high-level passing. This is stuff that when we think about the Rockets and how they get out in transition with their athletes, guys like Amen Thompson, Tari Eason, Cam Whitmore, Jabari Smith, they're going to thrive and love playing with Reed Sheppard in transition. Again, Sheppard just shows off that he's more than happy to take what the defense gives him and deliver some absolutely pinpoint passes in traffic. So as he pushes in transition here, he just kind of keeps going until the defense picks him up, until the defense forces him to do something. He's not going to force the issue. And that's a common theme with him in the half court, in transition, off ball, on ball, wherever. He just takes what the defense gives him. So as he continues to push, his eyes are always up. As he's crossing half court here, he knows that they don't necessarily have numbers, but he also knows that there's no one in the paint yet, especially since Alex Sarr is trailing Cam Whitmore here. So instead of allowing them to kind of casually set up their their defense, Sheppard just puts pressure on them by eating up the space and forcing Champagny to step to him. Once Champagny commits to the ball, Sheppard knows that Cam Whitmore has an open lane to the rim. All of this space is unoccupied, while Sarr is a few steps behind. Given Whitmore's athleticism, that's more than enough. Now Whitmore's pointing for the lob. Sheppard doesn't give it to him. Instead, he kind of changes the release angle. Really good bounce pass that leads Whitmore to the rim. Sarr does a good job of kind of continuing to recover here, which throws Whitmore off just enough to miss the layup. And throwing that lob to guys like Whitmore, Eason, Amen Thompson is probably going to be something that Sheppard has to get a little more comfortable with. But Whitmore also, this should be something he's making. From start to finish, though, just that willingness and eagerness to just take what the defense gives him, and then just that subtle manipulation is a real testament to Sheppard's IQ and awareness. While we knew that Sheppard was an awesome shooter, both on and off ball, what we didn't get to see consistently enough at Kentucky was first his handle, and second, just his overall scoring versatility. And throughout Summer League, he really showed both those off. So as we can see here, Aaron Estrada, who was a few years older, really good college player, puts Sheppard under a lot of pressure here. And despite the physicality, despite Estrada just being attached to his hip, Sheppard's handle is really tight. It's really reliable. It's consistent. He's handling the bumps, and he's really showing off his composure and his ability to not get flummoxed or panic when under pressure. It's really similar to what we saw in his playmaking, and that really showed up a lot over and over again in Summer League with his on-ball creation and his handle and ability to handle that pressure. Now, we won't linger on this one too long because the entire world saw it the second it happened, but this is just filthy. And if Sheppard is doing this as a rookie, imagine 4 years from now, 8 years from now, when he's even more experienced and when the handle's even tighter and the floater's even more dynamic and the game is even slower for him. There's a lot of really fun stuff with Sheppard's on-ball creation and scoring upside here, and this is just the first layer of it. In terms of scoring, something that Sheppard showed us that we really didn't get any of at Kentucky was his mid-range shooting ability. Now, it makes sense that he would be a good mid-range shooter, but over 80% of his jump shot attempts at Kentucky came from three. So the questions or the hesitations about his kind of interior or mid-range scoring were legitimate simply because we really didn't get to see much of it. But here we can see how Sheppard can be used as kind of an off-ball scorer and play more of that off-ball shooter or shooting guard role, which makes him even more malleable in lineups, whether or not it's Fred VanVleet initiating the offense or someone like Amen Thompson initiating the offense. So Sheppard's just going to run out of the corner off this pin down, and instead of kind of flaring out to three, which is based on the defender's kind of route through that screen, it looks like that's where he's instinctually kind of going to, given Sheppard's shooting prowess. Whereas he comes off that, he's coming a little more straight, but instead Sheppard veers towards the mid-range and veers towards the middle of the floor, which throws off the defender a little bit more. Now he's having to cross his feet, scramble to recover, not give up that drive. And now that he has the defender turned, Sheppard just uses that kind of quick twitch ability of his to immediately rise up in the mid-range and knock down an open shot. The ability to not be a one-dimensional off-screen scorer is really important for Sheppard going forward. Sheppard can really also use these off-screen possessions to then parlay them into more of an on-ball creation role. So if he's playing as that second side creator, he can create stuff either for himself or others out of these off-screen sets. So again, setup exact same as the previous clip, running off this pin down instead of kind of veering towards the middle of the floor. He pops out to three, receives it, and now he's just setting up from here. He catches his defender trying to gamble, doesn't quite get there, but he's patient. He's not rushing. He's not panicking. He's not trying to force something that's not there yet. But this off ball, by running off the screen, now he's setting up this empty corner pick and roll, which is an incredibly effective action. So as the screen comes, Sheppard dribbles off it and does a great job of immediately putting his man in jail, keeping him on his back. Defender does a good job of kind of initially getting over and getting back rimside, but Sheppard hits him with a nasty hang dribble. Watch how he explodes out of that. That is lightning quick, and the amount of space that he creates on this hang dribble is really special. So there to there, defender's gone. Rises up, that's an open look, gets a late contest, but ball's already out. His eye line is undisturbed. That's a really clean look. Cashes it. So this ability to be an off-ball scorer, but also use that off-ball movement and threat as that off-ball scorer to create on-ball reps and pick and roll reps on the second side, really important going forward. Even as the primary guy, Sheppard showed that he's more than comfortable knocking down these mid-range shots, especially out of the pick and roll. So here, just standard high pick and roll, rescreen, goes back middle, and now he's just attacking downhill. He's attacking Sarr's drop coverage while Carrington goes over the screen. Nice little hang dribble here to kind of free Sarr and make Sarr make a decision here because he knows Carrington's still recovering on the play. So this little escape dribble either is daring Sarr to commit and switch to him, which if he does, then Sheppard will deliver that pocket pass, or make Sarr kind of retreat, and then Sheppard gets to toy with Carrington, who's in recovery mode. Sarr, again, we saw it in the Sarr Summer League review video, gets caught in no man's land a little bit, but he's taking enough of a step back that he's still relinquishing the space to Sheppard to attack. Sheppard does a little hang dribble as Carrington somewhat recovers. As he recovers, Sheppard just changes speeds again, attacks his elbow, and then rises up. Carrington actually does a pretty good job here of getting a decent contest, but Sheppard's kind of proven that if he's able to get a shot off, it's probably going in. This is a big-time pro shot. This is stuff, it'd be great if there's a little more physicality in putting Carrington in jail a little bit more, where he disrupts Carrington's ability to recover, throw that left shoulder into his chest a little bit, then explode into that right elbow. But physicality and strength-based creation isn't part of Sheppard's game yet. But the nuances and the change of pace and direction definitely is. And it's just shifty enough. That's a big-time NBA level point guard shot. And Sheppard proving that he can do that. That's fun. That's really fun. We'll wrap up with the defense, which was kind of a mixed bag. There was some good, which we'll end with, but I want to dive through some of the more concerning stuff first, because there's a lot to like, but Sheppard's probably also going to get picked apart quite a bit on defense, especially as a rookie. So here, this is just kind of shockingly slow feet and slow reactions on ball. Sheppard just gets turned really easily here. There's zero resistance at the point of attack, and his man's now able to just effortlessly spin out of that, leave Sheppard in the dust, and now attack downhill with numbers. By being that much of kind of a sieve at the point of attack, Sheppard's now putting his teammates in a really bad spot. So from here, I like that Sheppard has the awareness to veer back or to veer to the corner and at least make the right rotation. So if that pass does go to the corner, he's not leaving his teammates out to dry yet again. But that initial passivity at the point of attack gives up a really easy floater. Like this just isn't good enough at the point of attack, and Ime Udoka is not going to love that or let that fly too long. Again, we see Sheppard just get beat way too easily. He doesn't put up really any resistance at the point of attack here, and just it's really easy to drive past him. He makes up for it with some nice hands, but kind of square. You like that he's low in his stance, but his feet here are so slow that he gets narrow, and Kuzi's able to just get past him with basically zero effort. That's incredibly easy. That's not good enough defense. Now, as Kuzi goes up, Sheppard does a really good job here of swiping down, getting the ball, knocking it off his leg, and forcing the turnover. And, Sheppard's hands are fantastic. We'll see a lot more of that in these coming clips. But NBA guards, NBA wings, they're not going to be that easy to strip that consistently. Sheppard's reaction time and willingness to play with just a little bit of physicality at the point of attack has to get better. Common theme here with Sheppard's defense. It's just there's no physicality, there's no resistance at the point of attack. This is far too easy for Carrington to get to the rim here, and Carrington's throughout his time in his 1 year at Pittsburgh, he wasn't known as a rim pressure guy. That's not his game. He isn't known for getting to the rim consistently, but, he looks like a rim pressure god here against Sheppard. So just right away, Sheppard's just willingness to open up that far with that drop step and let Carrington pass. So Carrington it's a pretty routine straight line drive, and Sheppard, instead of sliding his feet to cut it off, to create a little bit of contact, he just opens up that left foot, opens up his hips, and surrenders this entire driving lane. He doesn't have help back at the rim right now, and if we think about him playing with the main team with Şengün, who's been improving as a defender, isn't some defensive stalwart, this could lead to a lot of issues. Carrington drives. Sheppard may get a piece of this here to kind of force the miss. Again, real testament to his hands and ability to disrupt stuff. But the guards and creators and scorers that he's going to have to be asked to defend, they're going to finish this, and that's just not good enough. Sheppard's lack of physicality and resistance on ball popped against opposing point guards, but also against bigger wings. He's in danger of becoming a very, very quick target against any wing creator. So here, Washington, Giant Davis is just going to set this cross screen, and Houston switches it. So now Sheppard is on Champagnie, who strong physical wing, but not an over-the-top level scorer. And Champagnie just goes into bully ball mode, and Sheppard doesn't do much to deter him at all. This is incredibly easy for Champagnie. At least Sheppard takes a little bit of contact there, but he's in full-on retreat mode. There's no real strength. There's no real hurdle that he provides, and that's an incredibly easy bucket for Champagnie, who gets to the rim in just a couple dribbles, and it's because Sheppard doesn't apply any resistance on ball. Now, Sheppard's defense isn't all bad. I want to make that clear. His instincts, his hands, and his ability to disrupt passing lanes is really, really impressive. It was at Kentucky, and it showed, and it carried over in Summer League as well here. So off the bat here, just side pick and roll, going towards the middle, and Houston is playing at the level and basically switch this. Sheppard, if Washington's a little more patient here and try and get Sarr in a post-up mismatch, then Sheppard's in trouble, but they don't. They're looking to hit Sarr on the roll, and instead of trying to fight over the screen and get back to the ball handler and leave Sarr, Sheppard has the awareness or, at least memory to know that they're basically switching this, and he does a great job of veering back to cut off Sarr, take away this passing lane, and that's a really easy steal. It's kind of a lazy pass by Washington, but the instincts and the process and the intention by Sheppard there is absolutely perfect. They get out and run in transition. It gets a little chaotic, but the purpose here is that how quickly and immediate Sheppard's like, all right, we're switching this. I got to veer back middle, and I don't have to worry about getting rim side, because if I do, Sarr's going to get a bucket anyway. So my only chance here is to cut in front, take that ball away before it even gets there. Finally, this is some of the stuff where Sheppard's off-ball defense can be really, really fun and disruptive and annoying for defenses. And again, immediately sparks transition offense. So he's initially on Keyshawn George, point of attack, and they give it up before they go and run this little interchange here. As George goes to set this screen, Sheppard does a really good job of kind of staying attached and baiting Washington to make this pass. He's within range. He knows that that pass is coming and jumps it perfectly. Great hands, gets there, great timing, great instincts, and just kind of a fun little display of, sportsmanship to bait Washington, and I believe that's Alex Sarr, into making this kind of lazy pass, which if you're going to be passing from the wing to the top of the key, it has to be crisp, it has to be accurate, and it has to be on time. Sheppard's feint at kind of staying with George here baits Sarr into making that pass, and it sparks the easy layup going the other way. Almost lost it out of bounds, gets the goaltend, but a fun little display of sportsmanship and craft on the defensive end, and again, highlighted by Sheppard's really fantastic hands on defense. It's hard to ask for much more than what Reed Sheppard gave us in his summer league. He was absolutely fantastic. The shooting immediately carried over from Kentucky, and he looks like the best shooter from this class. Shocker. But there's more than that. He showed that he can be a real dynamic on-ball point guard creator, whatever you want to label it. He can do it. He showed an ability to have a really tight handle, to handle pressure, to not get flummoxed, to create for others out of a myriad of situations, to get to the rim, knock down shots in the mid-range, and knock down logo threes. His ability to get out and run in transition, to create for himself, to create for others, and just take what the defense gives him is really valuable going forward in a guard, especially a young one, because you can rely on them to make the right play. And that's more than you can say about a lot of young guards. The biggest concern, which was kind of the concern at Kentucky, is the defense. Now, his defensive hands and ability to disrupt stuff, whether it's blocking shots, jumping passing lanes, poking the ball away as guys go up, his timing, his ball location ability, they're fantastic. And that alone will allow him to survive in some form or fashion on the defensive end. He's also going to be a target. Opposing teams are going to force switches onto him constantly. They're going to attack him at the point of attack every single possession. And it's because he doesn't play with any physicality. He's easy to move. He doesn't provide any resistance. And it's been like that for at least a year now. So, going forward, Sheppard's offensive upside is so much higher than most people were willing to give it credit for. His defensive playmaking is good enough that he'll be able to survive those minutes. But his fundamentals, his foot speed reaction time, and his overall level of physicality on defense has to improve. And in time, especially with that coaching staff, and Ime Udoka, I would suspect that it will, or else he's not going to play. When we think about Sheppard fitting in with that roster and the athletes on the wing that they have, his shooting is immediately going to complement them. But his decision-making, his malleability, and his overall offensive versatility is going to be a perfect complement as well. You can plug him in at the 2. You can plug him in alongside jumbo creators. You can let him play point guard with the second unit. Whatever you need from him on offense, you can get. Their size and athleticism on defense will also make it a little easier to hide him, because he's going to have to be hidden if he's going to play early on in his career, which I would imagine and hope that he does, because he's that fun, he's that good, and he's proven that he has so much more upside than a lot of people were willing to give him credit for. Houston Rockets fans should be over the moon about Reed Sheppard's future.